I don't know how Overwatch content creators do it. I am genuinely concerned for a lot of their well-beings, because I do not know how they've stuck with the game this long. And I know for so many of them that have already established themselves, it's like their well-being, their livelihood. It's how they make money. But from a mental health perspective, like the last time I logged into Overwatch was the April Fool's patch, like 8 months ago. Because that was the last time I had fun playing like Zenyatta, because he actually had some form of movement. Because I just got tired of, after I did like my placements, I hit like 3600 or 3700. It was just like if the other team was playing dive, I was getting destroyed because I played a lot of Zen. And as much as I love Brig, I like Zen more. And the only reason I liked Brig was because she didn't get instantly dunked on every time she walked out to the open. And that's the problem, was like everyone was like, Zen is glass cannon, and I left when like hit scan was really, really strong. And I think it's still really strong, but I would like walk around a corner and die to a Widow that I didn't even see. So much that it just got tiring and exhausting to just like respawn and having teammates go, well, just go Brig, and then I'd go Brig, and then we wouldn't have the same healing output. Even though like Brig's healing output has actually kind of been insane, but like in the like mid-masters range, a lot of teams still don't know how to play around that. So the team-oriented, the things that I fell in love with Overwatch, like the team components, became exhausting because it felt like I had to pull way more weight than I was used to, I guess. And I'm not trying to make that sound like bragging, right? Like, well, I always pull a lot of weight, in the sense that like I think in a lot of team games, there's always somebody picking up the weight somewhere, or like they're playing exceptionally well to try and make up for kind of the shortcomings. And Overwatch had such an influx of like new players and people that were just kind of like casual. And I wouldn't consider myself a casual at any of the games I play because I'm so competitive. And that's hard. I think that component, or maybe just personality trait, or just the way that I've grown to be attached to gaming, is really hard. When I play a game, I want to be really good at it. And I mean like I'm gonna devote time to like researching what I can do to improve. I'll deep dive for like years, right? Until I'm better than the average person, but still not like amazing. Gaming for me, I like playing the way that I want, right? Like if I have a character in a specific game that I really like playing, I'll just play them, even if they're not amazing. Because at the end of the day, in most of those other games, like the outcome is on my shoulders. But with Overwatch, it's hard because I can't just like one trick Zen in every single game, as much as I would love to. And that's very meta dependent. And so if a meta doesn't have Zen in it, I don't have fun. But then on the other hand, for me, the problem is that like I don't like playing super meta characters because then everyone is playing them. Or like as a Zen player, I don't like playing against other Zens. I'm not trying to like out Zen. Like I'm not trying to ego diff the other team. I like the diversity of playing against a totally different matchup, because mirror matchups for me are very boring. It's just two teams trying to do the same thing but like slightly better. And it's one of the reasons why like I used to play like Mario Kart competitively and got like was like internationally ranked. But the reason that that was like 8 years ago. I don't know. It was like Mario Kart Wii. I was not very popular in middle school. The problem that I ran into was everyone ran the same two characters, right? Like everyone ran Daisy and Mach-Bike or Funky Kong. And I didn't enjoy that in the sense that everyone had to run the same thing, and that's just like meta in general. And so for me, that translated over to Overwatch because I had to like play BAP because BAP is still kind of strong, or a main healer because people take too much damage or just get out-dueled, or they just have mercy pockets, right? And we don't. Maybe it's the pandemic and like the whole past 2 years, but I feel like before, like I used to crave playing games all day. Like I would go and work and then I'd I'd be thinking about it all day and I'd want to come back and grind or do whatever. And for me, I lost that very quickly after a period of time with Overwatch because there wasn't anything to chase. Like, I wasn't capable of putting in the amount of hours to like grind a leaderboard, because that's the only thing you can really grind in Overwatch. And then once you hit that point in the leaderboard where you're happy, like, then you're just like chasing nothing, right? You're like chasing the essence of something that doesn't exist. And so for me, it was like, okay, there's no characters to chase after, there's no skins, there's nothing, you know? And it's just like you're chasing the like slight ego boost that doesn't have merit anywhere. And a huge part of this, I can't be like blaming myself for a lot of this. A lot of this has been just like Blizzard letting the game fall into ruin, basically, and I don't say that lightly. And I say that because I think about like when I'm feeling really nostalgic and I want to go play games from my childhood, right? Like I'll pick up Pokemon when I'm feeling the desire to play that, and I'll grind it out, and then I'll pick up like the next year's copy, but I don't play it every day. There are games, and I don't know if anyone remembers Wizard 101, but that game gets more updates on a yearly basis than Overwatch has ever had. You know, like there's a new world every year, there's 4 content updates, and the devs talk to the community. It's like, I know I'm bringing up this like really obscure like piece from everyone's childhood, but it's amazing to me that a game from like 2008 still rakes in like a crazy amount of money every year for the way that gaming has kind of shifted. And it really puts into perspective for me like just this sheer lack of management oversight happening, especially with Overwatch, because Overwatch could be the most successful like IP ever, especially from a gaming perspective, because there's like Overwatch has such like rich stories and characters that it can expand beyond gaming, right? Like I know they're trying to reach into PvE, and they're doing an awful job at like making us want to play Overwatch 2. Arcane has shown that like you can craft amazing stories from IPs that people aren't familiar with. Like, I've never played League of Legends in my life, but I binge watched Arcane in a day. And so there's a lot of frustration there to log into Overwatch and be like, wow, nothing has changed in 8 months. And even like a new character 2 or 3 times a year isn't necessarily the most exciting for me, unless I'm like falling in love with that character. But Zen is still my favorite, and there's nothing to chase for the characters that we love. The other part could just be like dealing with like really severe depression and anxiety the past like 2 years, which isn't new, right? Like the pandemic kind of just like everything was kind of like here, and then the pandemic just kind of like pushed it up here. So that's not new, but also probably a contributing factor to it overall. I wish Overwatch had almost taken the Paladins route, because I actually had way more fun being able to spec the character that I wanted to play in Paladins to my personal play style, instead of being forced to play characters that I didn't want to play just to fit what the team needed, right? And I feel like I speak so much about this in all of my videos, but like wishing that like if we have a meta where like healing, we need a lot of healing output, that I could spec into a high healing output Zen and dumpster Discord. You know, it's like, oh, now Zen heals a lot more, but Discord is only a 10% boost, right? Like being able to spec in, kind of like skill tree, the things that are important to you and could be important to a team, and the ability to like change those mid-match. So if I'm playing like a really DPS heavy Zen, so it's like, okay, his Harmony Orb doesn't heal like hardly at all, but Discord is like even more, which could be broken, right? Because Discord is really strong. But just the ability to like flex our characters and our play styles, especially when we fall in love with some characters in particular. You know, I think about like the amount of like Mercy one tricks that are in the game. Like everyone that plays Mercy and is a one trick obviously very much loves her character and would love to be able to flex her where needed, not taking the roles of other characters. And I want that to be clear. It's like, we don't want to give Mercy like an AoE speed boost, because then she just becomes a better Lucio. But it's like, okay, giving her a speed boost beam, but then you sacrifice damage for that. So like the ability to like Venn diagram some of the characters so they might inch into other characters like territory, but still have their core there. And maybe I'm just like, maybe I'm crazy talking about all of this. I've been playing a lot of Destiny. Like, I feel like my gaming habits exist in like a loop where I play one game really hardcore for like 3 months, like 2 or 3 months, and then I move on to like the next thing, but it's always the same games, right? Like I'll move from like Overwatch and play that like crazy, and then I'll move to like Destiny 2 and I'll play like that crazy, and then once the like passion dries up, then I'll go play something else like Rocket League, or I'll try something new, and then I always kind of find my way back. And I'm a little concerned that I haven't found my way back to a game like Overwatch in such a long period of time. So I don't know if anyone feels similarly about all of this, and I'm sure not a lot of people are actually going to see this, so I'm very appreciative for those that actually see this and make it through, but I don't anticipate like a lot of people being here. Burning question, if anyone's wondering if I'm like coming back to YouTube to do Zen content, I'll probably come back at some point when Overwatch 2 drops, especially if there's a lot of content that is character specific, so I can come and be like, all right, I'm your Zen guy for things. But if that's not the case, I'm gonna have to find something else, but nothing is really grabbing and holding my attention at the moment, because I'm just not seeing the longevity for so many of the games that I'm interested in, and that worries me as a gamer and a consumer and somebody that has like grown up gaming, that I'm like falling back kind of on the same games, but purely out of habit and not out of a desire to actually play them, like just trying to fill my time, which probably isn't amazing for my health. Thanks for being here. I'll see you around.